fun stuff in this book. I highly recommend it. How many of you are familiar with a short-lived series on MTV called Wonderchosen? Any of you? Well, this show, it was sort of like Sesame Street on acid kind of thing, by Vernon Chapman and John Lee. And it's an amazing piece of satire. It's really, really brilliant. It's really, really dark and challenging. And so I was dying to talk to these guys because I felt like they were doing some stuff that was pretty forward-moving in terms of comedy on television. And well, they are hilarious. They're like a comedy team. They don't perform, but just talking to them is like hilarious. And so I asked them about crossing lines and things, and about how they've gotten into a little trouble or whatever, or did they get into trouble for some of the things they did? And they said, we wanted some kind of controversy. We wanted press. We did a bit at Ground Zero. We had a little kid asking people, is it okay to laugh again at Ground Zero? The network almost pulled it, but they said, we'll air it if you write an apology beforehand. A pre-apology. We regret this. It was great. It was just pure, total nonsense. We take back what we haven't yet done. In advance, we're telling you we're sorry. That's a great way to approach any relationship, right? It's like a comedy prenup. We wanted to do something there because of the comedic challenge. The show is about doing the darkest stuff, so could we take the most horrific thing and somehow actually be funny with it? We wrestled with it for a long time. The premise was the answer for us. Can you laugh at this? We were struggling with it. It was one of the only times that we did a bit about something that we ourselves were actually literally struggling with. We both lived really close to Ground Zero. We experienced the whole thing firsthand. And what happened was something that we truly related to and respected. This was not like making fun of some cutesy Care Bears cartoon. This was real stuff. I think people understood the bit right away, too. They understood the question really was, can humor help us deal with this crazy, abstract, emotional thing? We were trying to raise or lower the bar, depending on your particular limbo. And they said, we had a little kid once dressed up like Hitler asking people, what's wrong with the youth of today? It's hilarious. He's like 8 years old. He goes, and that bit only came up because we wrote another bit that we thought would never get through the censors. So we thought, what's the craziest, stupidest thing we can come up with? We'll put that in, and then they'll say, look, you can't do both of these things, and we'll go, okay, we'll take out that one. But we submitted it, and the network went, oh, okay, can't wait to see the kid in the Hitler outfit. So we were like, holy shit. We were legitimately like, is this right? And we went back and forth on it, decided to do it, and then it was a matter of convincing a kid's parent to let us do it with his kid. And then can we convince ourselves that there's actually any legitimacy to this whole thing? It has at least a legitimate question. I mean, what is wrong with the youth? There's nothing I regret in that bit, but I think some people were hurt or offended. The saddest thing was that some people saw the kid and said, is that little kid dressed up as somebody? Who's he supposed to be? What is he, that Korean guy? He's got the mustache, the hair, the armbands, the swastika, he's marching around, arms stuck up. Some people had no idea. That was the most disturbing thing about it. The kid's going, what's wrong with the youth of today? And I'm thinking, what the fuck is wrong with everybody? We're like, he's dressed like Hitler. That's like the #1 bad guy. And then I said, well, I can't help wondering what the network, passed on, what they wouldn't let you do. And he said, we did some black satire. And they asked us over the phone, is one of you black? Because, if this was written by a black person, and I'm half black, said Vernon. So I said, yeah. And that was it. They had nothing more to say. Crazy, right? That's completely nonsensical. That's the scary thing about network standards, people. Let me just jump ahead here. That's the scary thing about network standards, people. If somebody's white, they don't feel comfortable judging what's acceptable to blacks. whether it's okay to say nigger here or there in a sketch, so you just don't touch it. So, hey, how about you hire a black person? There's an idea. So you guys get to say a horrible word on TV, and in return a major network finally hires a black executive. Interesting conundrum. And he said, yeah, of course, throwing it back in their face like that doesn't usually help. And then John Lee said, well, you know, the funny thing is that I'm a quarter Asian, and that's why we hooked up, because we thought we could cover a lot of racial territory. My favorite example of this nonsense was in South Park. Vernon Chapman also is the voice of Towelie on South Park. The Mr. Garrison character, who is a gay character, the Mr. Garrison character can say faggot because he's gay. But another character, the same actor doing both voices, can't say the word faggot. So they really believe the character's a real person, and they acknowledge him as a citizen. So should everybody have the right to say things, or nobody have the right? Well, only nigger faggots should get to do it. They're the only ones who can say chink, too. Nigger faggots get to say chink, chinky Jews get to say kike. We're working on a chart. They were really sensitive about religious stuff, too. That was the kind of biggest thing. We had a little puppet on the cross. They crucified a puppet. And the network said, listen, you can do God, you can't do Jesus. God is just an abstract idea. But Jesus, people will get offended. So MTV actually told us, you can make fun of God because God doesn't exist. But you can't make fun of Jesus because he's the Son of God. He goes, please print that. I want it on the record. I'm going to say it again so you get it right. Promise you'll print it. Someone at the network said you can make fun of God because he doesn't exist, but you can't make fun of Jesus because he's God's son. I said, I will print that you told me both times that the network said you can make fun of God. And he goes, of course, the big thing now is Muhammad. That's the really big thing. That's the crazy big thing. But the reason that Muslims get upset if you show Muhammad's face is because he's got a cock for a nose. And it isn't very big. Pretty funny. And so, you know, a lot of the conversation really just was comics hanging out. So a lot of really interesting things like this would come up, and they would just be really spontaneously funny, along with really beautiful portraits as well. David Feldman, who you may know from The Green Room on Showtime, failed comedian David Feldman.
He did a good 9/11 joke.
I said, well, his latest routine is about ageism in the child porn industry. He says something like, say what you will about you know, child porn. No child gets turned down. I said, what are you working on these days? He said, my next project is a documentary called I Hate My Cleaning Lady. I'm going to interview white people who just bitch and moan and complain about their cleaning ladies. Who broke what? Who broke what? Who misplaced what? It's like the ultimate pornography. White people complaining about someone who crawled through a sewer and ran hundreds of miles through a desert, dreaming and hoping to make their lives better by cleaning people's toilets. Just a bunch of white middle-class women bitching and whining. I think that would make a great documentary. My only fear is that half the people who see it will walk out of the movie going, you know, it really is tough to get good at it. Here's a comedian you may not know. That's the other thing. A few people are introduced in here. His name is Eddie Ift. He's quite funny. He goes. He talked about some material he does. Where he goes, I do a joke where I say that America should not have sent more troops to Afghanistan or Iraq because you cannot rebuild a country with military force. The only way you can really rebuild a country is with the Olympics. The Olympics bring in parades, Ferris wheels, pizza shops, bottled water, toilets. It's a boon to any economy, and all kinds of stuff gets built real fucking quick whenever the Olympics are involved. I also say that another way to rebuild is with a really good gay population.